Cincinnati, Ohio. Another beautiful summer day and evening here. Last night, the D-backs came from 4-0 down to win the opener of this four-game series, 5-4. Tonight, the Diamondbacks look to right-hander Ruby De La Rosa, unbeaten since the All-Star break. He's matched up with former D-backs lefty David Holmberg. From Cincinnati, it's the D-backs and the Reds. Only here on Fox Sports Arizona. And good evening from Great American Ballpark. Welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthew, Bob Brenly along the way. The Diamondbacks here trying to make it 2 in a row over these Reds after their comeback win last night. Bob, A.J. Pollock, a big part of that. 4 hits, and he stole his 30th base of the year.
Yeah, we've always known that A.J. had a tremendous collection of baseball skills, baseball tools, if you will, but he's one of 2 players this season in the majors with 10 or more homers, 20 or more doubles, and 30 or more steals. Only Charlie Blackmon of the Colorado Rockies has accomplished that up to this point of the season. A.J. Pollock sitting on 29 doubles, so after he hits his double tonight, he'll have 30 doubles and 30 steals. Real good shot to score 100 runs this year, just having an outstanding offensive season.
And he'll certainly be a key bat once again in this lineup for the Diamondbacks, who are once again facing a left-handed starting pitcher for the 4th game in a row, believe it or not. And it's former Diamondback David Holmberg.
Yeah, this is quite an oddity, seeing 4 lefties in a row. It just does not happen very often. You see the numbers for Holmberg here at Great American Ballpark. He's had 2 pretty good starts here at home, 2 not so good starts on the road. He's walked at least 3 guys in each of his 4 starts.
So it's De La Rosa and Holmberg, the Diamondbacks and the Reds, the second of a 4-game series here in Cincinnati. When we come back, more from Todd Walsh talking the long road to recovery. A little bump in that road for Patrick Corbin last night. Daniel Hudson got some big outs coming out of the Arizona bullpen. And then it's first pitch, the D-backs and Reds. More next. How will you live the gig life? By Lone Butte Casino. You're in for more winning moments at Lone Butte Casino. And by Jack in the Box. For a limited time, try the new Portobello Mushroom Buttery Jack with melted garlic herb butter.
And our exclusive coverage of Diamondbacks baseball continues from Great American Ballpark in the heart of Cincinnati, Ohio. Game 2 of 4. The Diamondbacks and the Reds. Steve and Bob have the call. That's coming up in just a bit. I'm Todd Walsh here inside the Arizona Diamondbacks dugout. One last look to last night's come-from-behind victory. The construction of that win came at the expense of pitcher Patrick Corbin, who obviously just went 2 innings last night. Still part of the roller coaster ride that is the recovery from Tommy John surgery, the procedure, and that long recovery. We talked to him about that, and one guy who can certainly empathize, Daniel Hudson.
It's tough not to think about it when it happens, but it's just hard to go through it and have a good game, have a bad game, and have a roller coaster like that. I'm trying to do everything to go out there and do well every time and get through 6-7 innings, but they say this is part of it, but I don't like to hear that and don't want to think like that. But it's still tough knowing that I had that outing today.
Comes with the territory, you know. You're not going to have your best stuff every time, even not having Tommy John and coming back off of it, and, you know, not pitching for 16 months in the big leagues, and, you know, you can't really expect him to be, especially with his pitch count, getting in the 7th, 8th inning every single night, and hopefully he realizes that. You know, he's making positive strides, and you know, we're all pulling for him to keep going in a positive way.
Patrick Corbin out with Mark Reed, bullpen catcher, earlier today, already working on his craft and his next start. One other footnote to the game last night and tonight, looking ahead also to tomorrow with Randall Delgado on the mound. Manager Chip Hale will stay away. The only guy that he'll say that is unavailable in that bullpen is Josh Goldmencher. Could be a couple of guys that he would like to stay away from as well. We'll see how that plays out. When we come back, his first pitch, he's going for his 11th win of the year. Ruby De La Rosa, he was spectacular against the Atlanta Braves. Let's see if he can carry that on here against the Cincinnati Reds. Steve and Bob will take you the rest of the way, and that's coming up from Great American Ballpark in a moment.
Celebrating Fiesta Rojos, and so the Diamondbacks are doing their part, wearing their Los D-backs jerseys for the second game of this 4-game series. And your Arizona's Ford starting pitcher for the Reds. 2 seasons ago, lefty David Holmberg made his big league debut with the Diamondbacks, and now he opposes his old team here in Cincinnati. Ender Inciarte will lead it off. The crew chief, Mike Winters, is our plate umpire, and we are underway by the Ohio River. Numbers on David Holmberg. Winless in his last 3 starts. The walk totals have been up there a bit, and he was knocked around in his previous start. That was last Saturday at Dodger Stadium, when he walked 4, gave up 7 runs, and lasted only 2 innings.
3 homers in that ball game, threw 64 pitches to get through 2 innings of the ball game.
Ender slaps that the other way, headed toward the left field corner, and that's foul. Lineup for Chip Hale's Los D-backs tonight.
Ender Inciarte out in left field, leading off. A.J. Pollock red hot over his last 9 games. He'll be out in center with Paul Goldschmidt at first. Wellington Castillo doing the catching. Aaron Hill at third. Yasmani Tomas out in right field with Chris Owings and Nick Ahmed making up the double play combo at second and short. And Ruby De La Rosa on the mound.
2-2. Ender in there at .295 and 3 home runs.
D-backs helmets kind of match the seats here at Great American Ballpark.
Rich Sedona red here on Fiesta Rojos.
Watch out.
Oh, they said he swung. They appealed down to third base. Marty Foster said he went.
Be careful. Chip Hale quickly out of the dugout, tells Ender to go on back in, and he'll handle the situation from this point forward. Ender really being demonstrative in that batter's box to Marty Foster, and Marty Foster started to charge down that third base line, as they're known to do. Oh, I think that's a bad call. Even from that angle in center field, it didn't look like Ender got the bat head out in front of home plate at all.
Ender's got to learn to shake that stuff off. He tends to internalize a lot of that, and it just kind of simmers, and I think we see that right here. Strike 1 to A.J. Pollock. And A.J. what a night last night. He's at .316 now and 12 homers. 4 for 5 last night, 3 RBIs. All 3 runs batted in last night came with 2 outs. And he lifts this in the air to left. Brennan Bosch is at the track, at the wall, and there it goes. A.J. Pollock, 4 hits last night. He starts off tonight with his 13th homer, and it's 1-0 Diamondbacks.
Wow, talk about staying hot. He actually got fooled a little bit by that pitch, but got the barrel on it and got enough to get it out of this little bandbox out there to left field. Early lead for the Diamondbacks. 2 batters in.
Bob, you mentioned Holmberg had trouble with the long ball in that last start against L.A., and 2 batters in, he's down 1-0.
Hey, you know, David Holmberg, basically a 2-pitch guy. He will throw a slider, especially to the left-handers, but he's a fastball changeup combination. The thing about Holmberg is there's not a big split between his changeup and his fastball.
Goldie grounds out to Todd Frazier at third. 2 down.
And his fastball will sit in the high 80s, occasionally touching 90 on a good night with a little bit of a tailwind. His best pitch is that straight changeup, and as I mentioned, he will throw sliders to left-handed hitters.
Holmberg was only 21 years old when he debuted as a Diamondback 2 seasons ago. And now, having just turned 24 last month, he's taking his 5th turn through this all-rookie Reds rotation. And now he'll deal with Wellington Castillo. The base is empty, 2 outs. Here's a strike. Beef Wellington, 232 and 15 homers. 0 for 4 with a walk and a pair of strikeouts last night.
I've said this several times over the last couple of years. You know, we watch batting practice every day, and sometimes you watch a guy take BP and you say, man, he is locked in. He's ready to have a big night. I think Wellington Castillo could be that guy tonight.
Yeah, you're right. I was watching some of that myself.
Woo, he put on quite a show today.
A ball and 2 strikes. Well, Beef Wellington's been a little undercooked lately. 1 for his last 24 at the plate with 10 strikeouts. Missed inside, and it's even 2-2. All that coming since his last home run, which was back on August 10th.
Well, if indeed things do run in cycles in this game, you have to believe the Diamondbacks are going to go on a tear where they hit about 4 home runs a game for 2 weeks, because it's been a long drought, especially for the guys you expect to hit home runs. Paul Goldschmidt hasn't hit a lot of balls out of the ballpark. Wellington Castillo, as you mentioned, hasn't been hitting with a lot of power or average lately.
Castillo and Goldie combined 0 for 9 last night, and Holmberg, who was ahead in the count 0-2, loses Castillo a 2-out walk. And that's exactly what they've seen from Holmberg for the most part this year. He has struggled with command and fallen behind in counts, and the walk total is a lot higher than they like.
Yeah, first 4 batters of the game, a little bit of a microcosm of his season. He struck out Inciarte on that disputed check swing, then gave up a homer. A ground ball out to Goldie. When he's good and keeping the ball down, he will get a lot of ground balls, but then a walk to Wellington Castillo.
Aaron Hill. Aaron getting the start at third base in place of Jake Lamb against the lefty Holmberg. 232 and 5 homers. Chip Hale told the media today he planned on playing both Jake Lamb and David Peralta today, but then changed his mind last night. And so he'll go with the right-hand options, Aaron Hill and Yasmani Tomas. This is headed toward the corner and left. Brendan Bosch over to cut it off. It's a base hit for Aaron Hill. And a pair of 2-out base runners now for Tomas.
Aaron Hill continues to put together good at bats. Got a fastball up in the zone that time. Tomahawks it down into that left field corner.
Aaron Hill has had now at least 1 base hit, including tonight, in 7 of his last 8 starts. So 2 on and 2 out for Tomas.
Well, let's see which Tomas shows up tonight. Will he take a pitch, or will he swing at the first delivery?
He might be under orders to look at least 1 pitch based on the way he looked at his first one last night. Nope. Hacking away. That's fouled up the line. He has been aggressive, to put it mildly, lately. But he had a pair of hits and a pair of strikeouts last night. And he's in there at 298 and 7 homers.
Yeah, it almost stands to reason with a runner in scoring position. He's going to be aggressive. Maybe nobody on base or runner at first only. Yeah, maybe he takes a pitch or 2, but not with runners in scoring position.
This is in the air, right center field. Jay Bruce is out there. Jason Bourgeois runs it down in the gap and takes away at least 1 run from the Diamondbacks, but they'll settle for 1 on the Pollock homer, his 13th of the year. And the Diamondbacks, as we go to the home half of the first, have a 1-0 lead in Cincinnati. A stake to a 1-0 lead on the A.J. Pollock solo homer. And Ruby is your Arizona Ford starting pitcher for Los D-backs tonight on Fiesta Rojos. And the Diamondbacks have won 5 of Ruby's last 6 starts, and tonight he faces the Reds for the first time in his career. Here's Chip Hale.
Sort of become our horse that we expect to at least give us some length in the game, win or lose. I'm sure he'd like a better ERA, which he's working towards. So, as long as he mixes the speeds of his fastball, changeup, slider, he should be successful today. And just keep the ball down. I mean, we say that ad nauseum here about everybody, but for him, when he uses our infield defense, he's really good.
And he can be a ground ball machine when he's on and generate double play balls. That's been a big weapon for him sporadically over the course of the year. Jason Bourgeois, the center fielder, leads it off and looks at strike one. The numbers on Ruby, unbeaten since the All-Star break, coming off 7 innings of 1-run ball Sunday in Atlanta. A lazy pop-up first base side. Goldie's underneath. And that's the end of Bourgeois. One away. The lineup for Brian Price and his Cincinnati Reds. They are injured and a little thin right now.
Yes, they are. Jason Bourgeois out in center field, filling in for Billy Hamilton. Eugenio Suarez at shortstop. Joey Votto at first. Todd Frazier down at third base. Jay Bruce out in right field. Ivan DeJesus Jr. at second base. Brian Pena doing the catching tonight. Brennan Bosch out in left field. And left-hander David Holmberg on the mound.
Here is the shortstop, Eugenio Suarez. And Ruby getting ahead in the count, 0-1. Suarez, 305 and 8 homers. A former switch hitter who now bats only right-handed and has had a very nice offensive year, while Zach Cozart has been out with a knee injury ever since the middle of June. They are without Mesoraco, the catcher, Cozart, the shortstop, Phillips, the second baseman, Hamilton, the center fielder. A little thin up the middle.
Yes,
that's
indeed.
How you're supposed to build teams.
You mentioned filling in for Cozart since the middle of June. It's kind of funny. Suarez hitting .321 since June 19th with 13 doubles and 7 homers. The guy he was traded for, Alfredo Simon, has given up a .335 batting average with 17 doubles and 9 homers.
That's with the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
Well, that trade has worked out very well for the Reds. And Suarez, you can make the argument, might be playing better than Cozart would have. So that could get interesting down the road. Cozart's been out since June 10th for tendon and ligaments in his right knee. Suarez was called up from the minors the next day and has had the job ever since. 3-2. '96 elevated the fastball and blew it by him for his first strikeout.
You'd like Ruby De La Rosa to keep the ball down, other than those 2 strike counts, when he can elevate that fastball up near the top of the strike zone or even higher, get some swings and misses. Blew that one right by Suarez.
Something we saw, Bob, from Patrick Corbin in a really good start against the Braves, when he kept everything down, the fastball, the slider, but occasionally would elevate with that high heat, and it was very effective.
When you establish that you can work down in the strike zone and hitters see that you're pounding away down there at the knees, and you throw a pitch up in the zone, they're more likely to swing at it. We've heard Mark Grace and Turner Ward talk about it all season long against sinker ball pitchers. We want to make him get the ball up. So as soon as you see a ball up in the zone, you want to swing at it. And if you can elevate it just a little higher than the hitter can handle, it can be a very effective pitch.
Especially when he gasses it up at 96. Yeah. So here's Votto, who's ahead 2-1. 1 for 3 last night, a double and a walk. And he leads the majors in walks, only 2 ahead of Goldie. 2-2. Called strike 3. There's that fastball again at 96, and he rings up Votto. Ruby De La Rosa, an outstanding start here in Cincinnati. And it's 1-0 Diamondbacks. Here's what's next, brought to you by CenturyLink. Chris Owings, one of the hitting heroes last night, leads off the second.
Our Arizona Ford pitch selection for David Holmberg. He will throw 2 fastballs, a 4-seamer and a 2-seamer. I mentioned that straight changeup, his best secondary pitch. Has a curve, rarely uses it. Throws the sliders to lefties.
Chris Owings leads off the second. CO 234 and 4 home runs. That 4th homer last night. Banged it against the facing of the second deck and left. And a big night last night for Chris. 3 for 4. A couple of RBIs. A triple shy of the cycle. Reaches out and hits that into right. A base hit for CO. So last night's 2 big bats in the lineup stay hot. Pollock the homer. And Owings the single to lead off the second.
Yeah, like that approach by Chris Owings. So many times he pulls off that pitch away from him, trying to open up and pull it into left field. This time just an easy grounder through that right side. Votto can't get to it. The leadoff man on for the D-backs.
Already 3 hits against Holmberg. Here's Nick Ahmed. CO over there. Threat to run. 13 for 17 in the stolen base department. Ahmed lifts a lazy fly to Bosch in left. And that's the first out in the second. Here's Ruby. Diamondbacks ended the Pittsburgh series against Francisco Liriano and Jay Happ. 2 lefties, and they have opened this series against John Lamb and now David Holmberg. 2 more lefties. Frazier Wellen on the grass at third. So this is only the 4th time in D-backs history they faced 4 straight left-handed starting pitchers. The last time August of 2007. So it's been a while. It was a series against the Nationals and then another against the Marlins. They got Matt Chico, John Lannon, Mike Bassick, and Dontrell Willis. Great names of the past. 1-1.
Not exactly a cast of marquee name pitchers, but hey, lefties are lefties. Always present a special challenge for a team to put together a lineup against the left-handed pitcher.
Andy Green wants to make sure that Ruby knows what he's doing here. Diamondbacks have never faced 5 straight lefty starters. And the right-hander Anthony DeSclafani is scheduled to start tomorrow against Randall Delgado. 1-1. Here comes Frazier from third again. Ruby pulls back and takes ball 2. Votto crashing in as well there.
Yeah, Ruby trying to put this ball down the first base side. Votto, as you mentioned, was charging hard as well, but Frazier has no responsibility over there at third base, so he's just starting about halfway toward home plate and really charging hard from there. Votto has to come all the way from the bag.
3-1. Goes back to what you were saying a game or two ago. They're trying to give you an out. Take it.
Yeah.
But Holmberg is not throwing strikes here.
And a different pitcher, maybe Jeremy Hellickson at the plate, perhaps Patrick Corbin. You might think about turning him loose here on the 3-1 pitch. But showing bunt again.
Nice. And he gets down to beauty. Votto is on it. Jesus covers, and they move Owings along. One away. Good at bat there by Ruby.
Well, we've watched the bullpen over the season, making slingshots in the bullpen in Colorado and hanging toilet paper on the fan in Pittsburgh. Tonight, bocce ball. They've even got Mel Stoudemire Jr. involved. The entire bullpen down there rolling baseballs toward home plate. I'm sure there's a wager involved.
A great sporting culture. Bocce ball in Cincinnati with baseballs. Ender Inciarte struck out his first time on a controversial check swing call by third base ump Marty Foster. Ender had his tower buzzed, kind of spun around, and Foster ruled that he swung at strike 3. 294 now and 3 home runs. Brennan Bosch has been kept busy out there. Bottom 2 coming up. Diamondbacks lead the Reds 1-0. D-backs won 2 of 3 at Chase Field earlier this month. They won last night's opener of this 4-game set at Great American Ballpark, and they lead game 2 here 1-0 on A.J. Pollock's solo homer, his 13th of the year. And speaking of home runs, the home run derby champ right here in this ballpark, Todd Frazier, will lead off the Cincinnati second against Ruby De La Rosa. On Fiesta Rojos night here in Cincinnati. And the slumping Frazier in there at 257 and 29 home runs. But the bat has vanished here really since the first week of July. Frazier 1 for 4 last night with a single. Ruby, who struck out Suarez and Votto to end the first, ahead of Frazier 0-1. Fastball's got some hop to it tonight.
Yes, it does. He's got a live fastball tonight in the early going.
Popped him up. Very shallow left center. Nick Ahmed is out there. Ender coming in. He calls him off. Ooh. Well, Bermuda Triangle scenario out there, but it's the first out in the second.
Now, once again, that pop-up priority. Nick Ahmed is taught to chase anything, make a play until you hear an outfielder call you off. And that time, Ender Inciarte did call him off to the last instant, ended up making a basket catch out there in shallow left.
Now the D-backs will put the shift on for Jay Bruce. Nick Ahmed all by himself on the left-hand side. And that's where Bruce hits it, but Ender is there in front of the track to run it down. Quickly 2 outs. Two outs on 4 pitches. Here's Ivan De Jesus Jr.
This is one of those at-bats right here for Ruby. Strike one. Throw fastball right down the middle. There's no way the Reds want to have a 5-pitch half inning here, so you got to believe that Ivan De Jesus is going to take until he gets a strike here in this at-bat. Or not. We'll see.
And at second base for the injured Brandon Phillips, who's out with biceps inflammation. They are still calling Phillips' injury day to day, so we might see him at some point over the weekend. Hacking at the first pitch. Gave him that fastball. He's ahead 0-1. De Jesus, 256, 4 home runs. Boy, all heat so far from Ruby. He is not messing around. He has established that fastball big time. Bounced over the mound. Chris Owings. And Ruby De La Rosa, 6 up, 6 down. He's got a 1-0 lead, a 7-pitch second. D-backs players wearing the black Los D-backs jerseys tonight. And fans, you can see them again during D-backs Hispanic Heritage Day, October 3rd, presented by Budweiser. First 10,000 fans get a Los D-backs soccer jersey, courtesy of Pepsi. Plus, fans can stick around for a free post-game concert featuring Latin recording artist Luis Coronel, presented by Sprint and Samsung. Visit dbacks.com for all the details. A.J. Pollock, a solo homer, his 13th of the year in the first inning, has given Ruby De La Rosa the 1-0 lead, and now A.J. leads off the third against former D-backs left-hand starter David Holmberg.
I think that guy in the one boat out there in the river is lost.
Why do you say that?
Well, he's got the Pirates flag on the back of his boat right there. He must think he's at PNC Park.
Aye, Captain. AJ 4 for 5 last night. That's at a career high. A little roller up the middle, a spinning throw by Suarez, and AJ's got another base hit. 4 for 5 last night, 2 for 2 tonight. Stay hot.
Yeah, this is not meant as a criticism of Suarez, but think about Nick Ahmed making this same play up the middle of the field and how smoothly he controls his body and makes that spin around throw to first base. Suarez really having some issues there, getting his footwork down, trying to get something on that throw to first base, and AJ legs it out for his 145th hit of the season.
Trails only the Marlins' D. Gordon in the National League, and he's just ahead of this man right here, Paul Goldschmidt. Goldie grounded out his first time up.
And with AJ's home run back in the first inning, he is now tied with runs scored with Bryce Harper of the Washington Nationals, 84 each. Goldie not far behind with 75.
And with AJ at first, keep in mind also he got his 30th stolen base of the season last night, joining Tony Womack and Eric Burns as the only D-backs with 30 steals in a season.
And we heard Brian Price talking about David Holmberg speeding up his delivery to home plate, trying to hold runners a little better over there at first base. And Brian Pena behind the plate is going to need all the help he can get from his pitcher tonight. Pena's only thrown out 14% of the attempted base stealers this season.
AJ 30 for 36 in his stolen base attempts this year. Goldie 0 for 5 last night, 0 for 1 so far tonight. And is hitting only about .220 in August. Just 5 extra base hits this month and no home runs. So this slump, usually when Goldie has a slump it lasts 2-3 days tops. This one has extended now into a third week. 5 for 31 on the road trip.
Reds have a guy struggling as well in the middle of their lineup. You see Todd Frazier and Paul Goldschmidt and what they've done before and after the All-Star break. And for Goldie, I mean, sometimes it can be tough luck. You hit the ball hard, you're hitting it right at defenders. Guys are making great plays defensively on balls you put in play. And other times you're just not squaring it up with any regularity. And unfortunately, that's where Goldie is right now. Most of his base hits recently have been ground balls that have found holes in the infield or little floaters that have dropped in front of the outfielders. We haven't seen him really square one up and hit a Goldie ball in a long time.
Yeah, just a rocket to right center field or really hang one high and deep out to left. He's ahead 2 balls and a strike. There goes Pollock. He got a great jump and then stopped halfway to second, but Pena still can throw him out, and that's stolen base number 31 for AJ. He got one of those jumps where he made himself a little nervous. It seemed like it was almost too good.
Something has to be wrong. It shouldn't be this easy.
There was a little stutter step after he got going. He almost stopped himself. And now he's in at second and a 2-2 count on Goldie. Well, he has become one of the really, really good players in this game, A.J. Pollock. There's a great piece on BeyondTheBoxScore.com about A.J. and his evolution. They put a a link out there on the Twitter about that this afternoon, and looking at AJ and how he's evolved into this all-star caliber player, and it just continues to happen day in and day out.
And we were talking about this earlier today in reference to A.J. Pollock, another aspect of his game that we had not seen before this season. He's got a little attitude this year. Remember a game earlier this year, maybe the Padres, somebody at third base tried to decoy him, a very dangerous situation for a base runner, and A.J. barked at him on the field, went back to the dugout, barked at him some more. We've seen him get on umpires on borderline calls that he didn't agree with. You know, not that you want him to get carried away and get ejected from ball games, but there's an obvious emotional attachment to this game right now for A.J.
He is invested big time. Oldie strikes out. Second strikeout for Holmberg. One away. Here's Beef Wellington, who walked his first time up.
Pena sets up inside and then jumps to the outside corner as that pitch is being delivered. Sometimes that can really defeat the purpose if you're a heavy-footed catcher.
He's not a small guy back there.
No, he's not. A hitter can sense it. They can sometimes hear you moving back there behind the plate.
5'9", 240, Brian Pena. 0-2 now on Castillo.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that some pitchers don't like their catcher to move that much that late in the delivery. They want you to set up and give a good target and stay right there.
I remember him doing that in the series we played against the Reds earlier this year at Chase Field, that late jump and setup.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs win, you win at Papa John's. The day after every Diamondbacks victory, you get 50% off any regular menu price online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code D-backs50 at papajohns.com.
0-2.
Cutter inside off the plate made Wellington move his feet right there to run the count to 1-2. Usually that's followed up with something off speed away. Doubled up in there.
And again, Pena back there very late to position himself where he wants the pitch. He waits really until the pitcher has started his delivery to jump over to either side of the plate, that time inside on Castillo.
How about this? AJ's been on base for 10 David Holmberg pitches. 6 pickoff attempts during those 10 pitches. And he still might steal third base.
He already stole second. Beef Wellington hits that out to left. Bosch is there on one knee to make the catch for the second out. Thought that might have a chance to get down in front of Brennan Bosch.
Did it a little too good. Needed some topspin on that one to get it down on the grass.
So AJ still at second, 2 outs for Aaron Hill, who singled his first at bat tonight. And Aaron, with his single, is hitting about 290 since the All-Star break. So he's done a good job when he's played, and he's playing more and more, especially against all these lefties.
Much more productive second half for Aaron Hill, even with the sporadic playing time.
At least one base hit in 7 of his last 8 starts, including tonight. Jesus running in there behind AJ at second. Where they really are uber aware of his presence on the bases. And it has really disrupted things for the entire infield, not just for Holmberg. And as a result, the pace here in the second or third inning has stalled. Brennan Bosch, another fly ball out to left field. And Holmberg strands the runner at second. Diamondbacks lead at 1-0.
In the first, we head to the bottom of the third. Time to take a look at our Valley Honda dealer. Keys to the ball game for Ruby De La Rosa. Need him to go deep in the ball game tonight. Randall Delgado taking the ball tomorrow, and Chase Anderson on Sunday. Need some length out of Ruby tonight. And let's help Craig Counsell get out of the cellar. The Brewers only half a game behind the Reds to escape the cellar in that National League Central Division. And we got to help Craig Counsell any way we can.
Well, 6 up, 6 down so far for Ruby. He's got 2 strikeouts, and Brian Pena leads off the Reds' third. Shoots it the other way. That's a fair ball down the left field line. It's in the corner. And Brian Pena rolls into second, his 12th double. First hit for the Reds.
That's the kind of offensive approach that will nullify that 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Brian Pena, no intention of pulling this ball, just flips it down that left field line. Leadoff double here for the Reds with the bottom of the order coming to the plate this inning.
Yeah, the Reds stuck in a 6-game losing streak. They're 17 under 500 and 25.5 games behind the Cardinals lead in the NL Central. Brennan Bosch, the left fielder. Tries the same thing, hits it over the head of Jim Riggleman at third. Bosch 136 with the Reds this year, only 8 hits all season. He's played in just 34 games, called up from the minors this week when they lost Billy Hamilton to the DL with a shoulder injury. Ruby ahead 0-2, tied him up inside that time.
You know, talking about trying to help Craig Counsell get the Brewers out of last place in the Central. It's a pretty amazing run for the Reds. They have not finished last in their division since 1984. Wow. 31 years, the longest streak ever since baseball went to 3 divisions in each league.
They're just not trying hard enough.
Yeah, they're trying hard this year.
Pena just back in time at second. Well, they've been wiped out by injuries. They traded their entire starting rotation for the most part from a year ago. Cueto, Leak, Simon, Latos, all gone. As they retool in the worlds of Walchuk, not rebuild.
Isn't that something? Nobody in baseball wants to ever call it a rebuild. It's like it's a dirty word or something.
It's almost like it's become a PR thing where it's code for we give up. And I guess teams just don't want to give that impression. The people that were up front about it were the Houston Astros. They said, look, this is a tear down and a rebuild, and they built that thing back up very quickly.
And, you know, when Theo Epstein went to Chicago to take over the Cubs, they made no bones about it. We're rebuilding. Yeah, we're going to make this organization look different than it has in the past.
The fly ball out to Tomas and right. Pena at second will tag and head for third. Got a play on here. Ahmed cuts it off, and Pena's in there. Yasmani's got a pretty good arm out there, and he made that close.
I think an accurate throw might have had Pena at third base. It looked like the ball was going to catch and pass him as he tried to advance from second to third base. Unfortunately, the throw tailed up the line a little bit. Nick Ahmed decided the best plan of action was just to cut it off and make sure it didn't get by.
So it's Pena at third, 1 out for the pitcher Holmberg. David, the left-hand pitcher, right-hand thrower, or right-hand batter, which is, I know you always love, exposes that pitching arm up there.
I held my breath every Randy Johnson at bat. RJ, of course, is a left-handed thrower that hit from the right side of the plate. Fortunately, did wear a big elbow guard on that throwing arm that's facing toward the pitcher, but that's always scary.
Holmberg's armored up as well. Waves at that one, 0-2. David's a big guy out there, 6'3", 245. Originally a second-round pick by the White Sox in 2009 out of Port Charlotte, Florida. And Ruby has his third strikeout tonight, 2 down.
You see a lot of that with a pitcher at the plate and a runner at third base. You don't even want him to make contact. So that time Ruby De La Rosa with 3 consecutive sliders dispatches Holmberg rather quickly right there.
And now he'll work to the leadoff man, Jason Bourgeois, who had a pair of hits last night starting in center field, including a triple. Had an RBI and scored twice. Popped up his first time tonight. Ruby's really in a rhythm right now, working at a very good pace. It's flowing out there for him. Broken bat, reached out and got a piece of it. Goldie has it. Ruby covers, and that's the inning. They strand the leadoff double through 3. It's 1-0 Diamondbacks. out, and they look more like a Saturday Night Live skit than you'd expect.
Well, they're very generous, giving away T-shirts between innings there, shooting the big cannon up into the upper deck.
I tell you, that T-shirt cannon is no joke. They can get back row upper deck with that thing from the roof of the dugout. Here on Fiesta Rojos night. Yasmani Tomas will lead off the fourth against David Holmberg. 1-0 Diamondbacks. A.J. Pollock, a solo homer, his 13th of the year. Tomas flying out his first time up, 0 for 1. After a pair of hits last night. Yasmani has hit safely in 5 of his last 6 games, and 3 of those have been multi-hit games, including last night. He's ahead 2-0. Another case of Holmberg falling behind in the count. This is where he really has gotten himself into trouble this year at the big league level. Is lifted in the air to Bourgeois in center, backing up at the track, at the wall, and there it goes. Yasmani Tomas is 8th, and it's 2-0 Diamondbacks. Straightaway center for Yasmani.
Gets himself in a favorable hitter's count and then hits like a favorable hitter. It just looked like a fly ball to center field off the bat. Must have got a lot of backspin on that ball because it really carried to straightaway center. Yeah, down and in with a fastball. Bourgeois thought he had a beat on it. That ball sails out of here just to the right of straightaway center.
So homers by Pollock and Tomas make it 2-0, and Chris Owings keeps on hitting. He's 2 for 2. CO, after his 3-hit night last night, is on board again. A pair of singles. And Holmberg is not fooling anybody up there. Here's Nick Ahmed.
Yeah, you mentioned David Holmberg is not the kind of pitcher that can afford to fall behind in counts. He doesn't really throw anything that hitters swing and miss.
Yeah.
And there's not a big split between his fastball and his changeup. And if he's not commanding the breaking ball, you can just sit on that heater all night long. And even if he throws the changeup, it's only 5 or 6 miles per hour different than his fastball.
Yeah, he can't afford to make location mistakes or fall behind in counts. I mean, it's an upper 80s fastball, and so far not a whole lot else. Holmberg did not have a great season in the minor leagues last year, but did come up in September and did a pretty nice job for the Reds. He was 2-1, a 1.82 ERA. And this year he wasn't doing anything especially exciting at AAA Louisville. 7-6, an ERA right at 4.5. A lot of hits allowed, too few strikeouts and too many walks, but they had a sense he had made some progress. So here he is. There goes Owings. And CO is in there. The Diamondbacks running on Holmberg. That's the 14th stolen base for Chris.
Oh, you love the aggressiveness. Keep the pedal to the metal. CO with a great jump over there at first base. And we mentioned Pena's had issues throwing out opposing base stealers this year. Not a strong throw to second that time.
And this is not going well for Holmberg. And when they traded Cueto to the Royals, they got a nice package of pitchers in return. We saw one last night with lefty starter John Lamb, but Holmberg was the guy that they dropped into Cueto's rotation spot. And so far he really hasn't delivered. This is bounced to shortstop, Eugenio Suarez. One away in the fourth.
Hey fans, anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with the purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Ahmed cannot get the ball to the right-hand side, so Owings stays put at second, 1 out. for Ruby, who had a very good at bat his first time up. Wound up with a sacrifice bunt. And he squares up again here. Takes strike one.
Normally you try to bunt the ball hard to the third baseman here, keep it away from the left-handed pitcher coming off the mound and make Frazier come in and make the play, but Joey Votto's playing way back on the right side of the infield and way off the line.
Ruby could bunt for a base hit if he can get it by the mound on the first base side. But he's down 0-2. Got a piece of it. Holmberg winless in his last 3 starts. He lasted only 2 innings Saturday at Dodger Stadium, and in trouble again early here. Ruby get through ball. There it goes. It's into left. A base hit for De La Rosa. And Ruby's driving the bus.
Most teams I've ever been on, the starting pitchers have a little friendly competition over the course of a season about their offensive prowess. So I'm sure Ruby can't wait to get back to the dugout and close.
Driving that bus. Holmberg now at 60 pitches, 38 strikes. Chris Owings is at third. Ruby De La Rosa at first, still just 1 out. And here comes Ender Inciarte, who's 0 for 2.
Diamondbacks pitchers have driven in 14 runs this season. Granted, Jeremy Hellickson has 7 of them.
He's been an RBI machine.
Yeah, the entire Diamondbacks pitching staff last year only drove in 8 runs all season long. So offensive improvement for the pitchers.
1-1 on Ender. Ender this year against left-hand pitching batting .245. That's down about 30 points from last year. This one is out to right center field. Bourgeois closes, and here comes CO. The throw is not in time, and it's 3-0 Diamondbacks. An RBI for Ender Inciarte.
If that was going to be deep enough to score Chris Owings, but Andy Green decides to push the button a little bit here. Let's see if he can make an accurate throw from shallow center field, and Bourgeois pulls it to the first base side of the field, allowing Chris Owings to score easily.
And Ruby still at first with 2 outs now for A.J. Pollock. They appeal to third. Nothing doing. He did not leave early. You can review that this year, by the way. That is subject to review. And they'll try one more time. They appeal for a second time to third base, and for a second time, Marty Foster says safe. A.J. 2 for 2, a home run and a single after his 4 for 5 night last night. His third 4-hit game this year. Bidding for another one tonight. And what a month he's had. He's hitting about .380 in August. And counting tonight, has scored 17 runs in 17 games this month. Missed inside. It's a ball and a strike. Not a bad month. Ooh. Zoom ball, 2-1.
We talked about this in the open of the show tonight. A.J. Pollock and Charlie Blackmon, the only 2 players this year with 10 or more homers, 20 or more doubles, 30 or more stolen bases, and counting.
Takes on 2-1, 3 balls and a strike. And again, Holmberg falling behind in the count to a dangerous hitter. Diamondbacks have done a good job tonight getting themselves in good hitters' counts. And they've taken advantage of a lack of command by Holmberg. Goldie on deck. Down the left field line, fair ball. AJ's got his 3rd hit tonight. Bosch plays it off to Karam, and Pollock has a double. And he's a triple shy of the cycle. 3 for 3.
Double number 30 this season to go along with his now 31 stolen bases. Man, is his bat quick right now. Really recognizing pitches well. Just ripped that ball down into the left field corner. Anybody else running at first base, he may have gotten himself an RBI there as well.
Chance for Goldie now. 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs. Goldie has grounded out and struck out 0 for 2. The National League's RBI leader.
This speaks to the struggles that Goldie's had recently. The fact that the Reds are willing to pitch to him with a base open. Earlier this season, this would have been an automatic intentional walk. Before he even got in the batter's box, Pena would have been standing up with his right arm extended.
He had that run earlier this year where that happened every time he was in this situation. But things are a little different now. 5 for 32 on the road trip with 11 strikeouts. And he's down 1-2. Ruby De La Rosa at 3rd, A.J. Pollock at 2nd. 2-out base hit here would be awfully big. Holmberg at 70 pitches, only 44 strikes. Just inside, it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. See where it got him. Nothing from Goldie in terms of a reaction. So the bases are loaded. It bounced and hit him in the knee, it looks like.
Just on the outside of that left knee, maybe a little below the left knee.
Jeff Pico, the pitching coach. Bases full of Diamondbacks. 2 outs for Beef Wellington, and Holmberg in a real jam here. David Holmberg, drafted out of high school in Florida by the White Sox in 09, a 2nd-round pick, and then a year later he came to the Diamondbacks along with Daniel Hudson. That was in the Edwin Jackson deal, you might recall. Got 1 start with the D-backs. That was August 27, 2 years ago, against the Padres at Chase Field. Didn't go well. He lasted only 3 2/3. Gave up 3 runs, 6 hits, walked 3, and that December was dealt here to the Reds, part of a 3-team deal with Tampa Bay. And now he's in a jam against his former team. Bases loaded, 2 down for Castillo, who was walked and flied out 0 for 1. Ball 1.
It's been all Diamondbacks so far in this ball game, but this is one of those at bats where you can really just blow the game wide open.
Yep.
Turn it into a laugher. Let Ruby De La Rosa just go out there and pound that strike zone.
Just find a gap somewhere. But first you got to get a strike, and once again Holmberg has put himself behind in the count. It's 2-0. So Wellington should get something on which he can do some damage.
When he's commanding his pitches, Holmberg likes to throw that straight changeup when he's behind in the count, like this. 2-0, 3-1. Likes to take advantage of that hitter's aggressiveness, but he's just not commanding anything tonight.
Pena wants a word. 2-1 now.
Wellington with a fastball up and out over the plate. Looked like he tried to pull that ball, fouled it off to the right side. It's the same pitch we've seen him hit out to the opposite field from time to time. That fastball up and out over the plate.
Hitters count here 2-1. Lines it off the glove of Suarez at short. Ruby will score. Here comes AJ. Goldie will stop at third. And it's 5-0 Diamondbacks. It tipped off the mitt of a Eugenio Suarez for 2 Diamondback runs.
Always seems appropriate when Wellington's the one that drives in the 5th run of the ball game, because that means everybody gets crunchy beef tacos. Boy, a rather casual approach that time by Suarez. What should have been an inning-ending line drive here to shortstop just kind of drifts to his left. Never really got over to the ball. It tips off his glove and just dies out there in shallow left field.
Didn't get out there deep enough for Andy Green to send Goldie home. Aaron Hill bounces one off the mound right to DeJesus, and they get the force on Castillo. But the Diamondbacks, starting with Yasmani Tomas's 8th of the year, get a 4-run fourth. They lead it 5-0.
Good ever since the last homestand, and might not have shown in Atlanta and Pittsburgh, but still feel like I'm seeing the ball well, and got something to fall in tonight.
Chris Owings from our postgame show last night swinging a hot bat, and guys, I didn't know what was going on behind me until I saw this video.
They've done that the last couple of games behind you. It's become a thing.
I asked somebody today, and I said, Chris, did you know that got on television? And Jake Lamb said, that was cool. I didn't ask him exactly what was going on because I didn't want to get in the way of a nice stretch. But
at least he's not concussed.
Yeah, trust me. And I will say it
what a couple of absolute morons.
Yeah.
What did they do back there?
It sounded to me like I used to do the National Football League, like the 5 minutes before kickoff, where everybody's trying to get their shoulder pads dialed in,
bashing each other with the helmets,
kicking the snot out of each other. But
it's like the Bash brothers did that forearm thing, McGuire, Canseco. Why didn't they think of that? Just a forearm shiver right to the skull.
Right to the skull. Yeah.
Well, it's working. I'll tell you that.
Whatever it takes.
That's right.
Did you like my steely concentration there, Bob?
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy Lightning is, man.
Lightning, very professional.
Oh, see, you own that now.
Yeah, sure I do.
Way to step up.
It so fits. Lightning needs thunder, Bob. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, that's whoever you're talking to at the time.
Get your boy Marley back here.
Oh, that's right. He's busy.
2-1 on Suarez. Todd Walsh. Lightning, Todd Walsh. Well, there's always activity around Lightning. Nothing to do with it. A high pop-up for Ahmed. One down in the fourth. Ruby, a 14-pitch first, a 7-pitch second, a 10-pitch third, and he is rolling tonight. The fastballs look great. He's had a nice, steady pace and rhythm out there. This is exactly what you're looking for.
Been strike one on every hitter but one so far tonight. He's only had 1 3-ball count in the game. 4 times he's taken a Reds hitter quickly to an 0-2 count.
Well, here's Votto, who struck out looking his first time up. Ruby got him with a couple of fastballs, and he humped up to 96, misses upstairs there, and it's 1-0. But you always want to be careful with Votto, who has lately looked a little bit more like the old Joey Votto. With drives like that, right center field. And it's off the base of the wall. Votto stumbles a bit coming around first, but he's in there easily with his 28th double. He has been stinging the ball just like that lately. And that's just the second hit for the Reds.
Outer third of the plate, down a little bit. Not a horrible pitch, but that's a pretty good hitter at the plate right there. And he barrels it up to that gap in right center. AJ has to wait for the carom to come back down, and by the time he does, Joey Votto in at second with a 1-out double.
He's homered in 3 of his last 8 games, and he started to look more like the guy that hit 37 homers when he was NL MVP 5 years ago. Here's Todd Frazier. And Frazier has looked nothing like the guy that won the home run derby here in this ballpark last month. He is batting under 170 in August, only 5 extra base hits all month long, 2 home runs.
A couple of his swings last night, his head really flew off the baseball, just wasn't tracking it into the hitting zone at all.
Hard to third, but foul. I mean, this performance by Todd Frazier, the fact that it was a Reds player in this ballpark, in one sense, I think, saved the home run derby, because its relevance and interest had waned. But with the new format and the performance that he put on, suddenly everybody was thrilled about this idea again.
And quite honestly, it needed saving. It was just a never-ending competition, and guys were taking several pitches at a time before swinging at one and running out the towels to home plate. Anything they could do to stretch it out into a 4-hour show.
That was a tough watch, but you had the time element, and you have the idea that you can create buzzer-beating home runs, which Frazier had a couple. Well, it was a lot of fun to watch, but he's just not been that guy ever since. And really, the slump started before the home run derby. You can't say, well, it's another case of a guy going bad after the derby. Lines it right to Aaron Hill. He can't pick it up. Ahmed is there to recover and throw him out. A nice job there by Nick Ahmed. A rocket right to Aaron at third, but Ahmed there to back up. So 5-6-3 on the putout. You get those all the time.
Boy, you love that about Nick Ahmed. He never quits on a play. He was moving to his right initially just to back up Aaron Hill, but when it glanced off Aaron Hill's glove, Nick just continued on with the play as if it was hit to him. Backhanded play in the hole, fires across to Goldie, and they get Frazier by a wide margin over there at first base.
2 down now for Jay Bruce. Flied out to left his first time up. Hitless in the series. Talk about Frazier slumping. This is the other guy that's killed Cincinnati this year, Jay Bruce. I mean, he is really deep in the pit of despair right now. His batting average this month has dropped more than 20 points for the year. Just can't find it. There it is again.
Everybody's looking for it.
0-2.
Ruby De La Rosa right on top of his game tonight. You see what he's done over his last 8 starts. Nobody on base, opponents hitting .258. Yeah, no big deal. Runners get on base, all of a sudden it drops under 200. With runners in scoring position, it drops under 100. And with 2 out risk, he hasn't given up a hit.
He has allowed more than 3 earned runs only once in his last 6 starts, and since the All-Star break, is 4-0 with a 2.54 ERA. And as Chip Hale said, he's turned into the Diamondbacks' horse, their ace. When he pitches well, generally the rest of the rotation follows. 2-2 on Bruce. Tell you what, if Bruce makes it out here, that'll put him in a 6 for 60.
Ooh.
Missed at 96, overthrew that one, 3-2.
Well, when you have not had positive results for 60 at bats, 6 for 60, you forget what it feels like to hit a ball hard. You forget what the rhythm and timing is of your swing in order to get that bat where it needs to be to drive the ball. And then you have to search for it.
The search is ongoing in this case. 2 outs, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Here it is. Popped him up. Third base side. Ahmed over there with Aaron Hill. Nick wants it. And indeed, Bruce 6 for 60. Ruby De La Rosa strands the 1-out double. He leads it 5-0. Gear of your own? Well, pick up the Los D-backs soccer jersey Saturday, October 3rd before the D-backs and Astros game. First 10,000 fans with us. We'll get this one right here, courtesy of Pepsi. Visit dbacks.com. Fiesta Rojos here tonight. Los D-backs lead the Reds 5-0. Ruby De La Rosa's given up only 2 hits. And Yasmani Tomas, who homered his last time up, leads off the 5th against former D-back David Holmberg. The home run for Yasmani is 8th of the year to dead center field. So he's now hit safely in 6 of his last 7. And the feet are moving. He's waving at that one. It'd be nice to see Yasmani kind of put this midseason lull behind him and finish strong with a good month of September going into the offseason, because he was so effective in the first half. He had .313, but he's under .250 since the All-Star break. But he's shown signs here in the last 7-8 games or so of returning to his pre-All-Star break form. Holmberg already at 80 pitches, only 48 strikes. Two is bounced in the dirt. It's full.
Once again, Holmberg just not able to command that breaking pitch. He hit Goldie on a hop with a breaking ball down and in. That pitch hit well out in front of home plate that time. Boy, and as an opposing hitter, if you can eliminate pitches from a guy's arsenal, it really improves your chances of making something happen. If you know David Holmberg can't throw a breaking ball for a strike, you just sit on that fastball. And we talked about his changeup not being enough off of his fastball. So tough combination for the Reds left-hander.
Chris Owings. And boy, CO, as he told Todd Walsh, feels like he's swinging the bat good ever since the last homestand. May not have seen tangible results in Pittsburgh or Atlanta, but he really feels like he's seen the ball well. And you have to believe him. 3 for 4 last night with a home run. 2 for 2 so far tonight, a pair of singles. And when you go look at the numbers, Chris makes a good point. Since the start of the last homestand, which was the series against these Reds back at Chase Field, he's hit about 275. 7 extra base hits, so the bat is coming around. Last night's homer was no joke. Upper deck. His first home run since July 17th, just over 100 at bats. And the same guys that did most of the damage for the Diamondbacks last night are continuing that pattern here tonight. A.J. Pollock, 4 hits. He's 3 for 3 tonight. CO, 3 hits. He's 2 for 2. Hitting for 3 for 3, but Frazier cuts that off in the hole and throws him out, 2 down. A couple of ground ball outs in the inning for Holmberg. Hey fans, it's now time for you to tweet your strongest fan photo. Use hashtag AZDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself at an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Here's Nick Ahmed, who's 0 for 2. Base hit for Nick. His first hit in the series. And they will at least clear the pitcher spot.
Yeah, normally I would say that's a big base hit with 2 outs in the inning and get Ruby De La Rosa out of the way here. But Ruby's already got a base hit and scored a run in the ball game tonight. Maybe we don't want to clear Ruby. We want him up there with runners on base.
And a very nice sacrifice bunt. A terrific at bat. His first time up in the second. Singleton scored his last time up.
That's the daily double there for David Holmberg. He made a horrible pitch right there to Ruby De La Rosa, missed well up and away out of the strike zone, immediately looked back at the dirt on the mound because my footing must have been bad, and then asked for a new baseball. That's the daily double. Wasn't my fault.
He's trying to control his environment as best he can. 1-1. It's been a struggle. 92 pitches, just 56 strikes. He's been, it seems, behind in the count much of the evening here through 4 2/3. Ruby's got one more. He rolls it into right.
Hurry.
A chance Bruce might try to throw him out, but Ruby 2 for 2. Driving the bus.
Yeah, if he keeps hitting, he won't be on the bus anymore. He'll be taking a limo. Slashing inside out. Swing takes advantage of that big hole on the right side. That's just smart hitting, Ruby.
I mean, you got Holmberg who's just trying to survive at this point. He gets 2 quick ground ball outs and then gives up singles to the number 8 hitter and the pitcher. I'm sure Brian Price loves that. Ender and Ciarte. Ender a sac fly RBI his last time up. He's 0 for 2. Chance to pad that lead here. Diamondbacks have left 6. And they have now out-hit Cincinnati 11 to 2. You know Ender's thinking about that swing back in the first for Marty Forster, run him up on the same pitch. He's muttering to himself exactly that right now. He had a duck out of the way on a pitch up and in, and Marty Foster ruled that he went around for the strikeout. 1-1. Slaps that the other way, but right at Brennan Bosch. And Holmberg strands a pair of 2-out singles, but the Diamondbacks have a 5-0 lead.
Fire Valley Honda dealers, where you'll get more standard features for less money. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Mix One, great taste, no face, available at local retailers.
The Ohio River here in Cincinnati. Diamondback lead the Reds 5-0. Follow the Diamondbacks wherever you are, fans, with MLB.com at bat. It's the #1 app for live baseball. At bat, up to the moment, at any moment. In-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, StatCast, and more. You can get MLB.com at bat for your smartphone or tablet. Ruby De La Rosa so far has given up only 2 hits. He has not walked a batter. He struck out 3. He leads at 5-0. And Ivan De Jesus Jr. leads off the Reds' 5th. He has really looked good tonight.
Yeah, he's had as many hits as he's given up so far in the ball game.
De Jesus grounded out his first time up tonight. And he is just 3 for his last 25 at the plate. I think I've discovered what the problem is with the Reds.
Okay.
They have too many mascots. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, they do.
They got Mr. Red, or whatever his name is. There's 4 of them. There's Mr. Red,
Rosie,
or Big Red, or whatever his name is. And then there's like Mrs. Red, who they call Rosie. Then there's the Big Red guy with the mustache. Then now there's Rosie. So there's Big Red, Rosie Red, Mr. Old Red Legs guy, and something called Gapper, which just looks like a science experiment that went horribly wrong. And they're all out there running around, and it's too much. Your thoughts?
Well, I think Gapper is the byproduct of a horrible union between Youppi and Dinger.
I don't even want to know what might have happened there. There's Mr. Redlegs. Now he's the old school guy.
Yeah, got the big mustache on the front. Yeah,
he's like the logo. That's fine. But it's turned into one of these reality shows where it's just the whole crazy family. And what are they going to do next? They're all nuts.
I'm not so sure the little guy likes Mr. Redlegs.
1-2 on to Jesus. Now that's the classic old school guy. Todd Frazier did the Ice Bucket Challenge, and all the mascots had to get involved. There's Gapper, whatever that thing is. There's 3 of the 4 anyway. 2-2. Aaron Hill at third. Belt high hop and a low throw. Nice scoop by Goldie. And that's the first out here in the 5th.
Nod of the head and a wave of the glove over to Paul Goldschmidt at first base for completing that play over there. Picked that low throw right out of the dirt like he does so many times.
A running conversation over there with Mike Malinsky, the first base umpire. Brian Pena doubled. He has one of the 2 Reds hits. And he is a switch hitter, much better from the left-hand side. He's about 300 this year. Under 220 from the right-hand side. And doing just what he did last time, which was shoot one the other way into the corner for a double. There are the platoon splits on Brian Pena.
I'm not sure the reasoning behind this. He's got the right batter's glove strapped on tight, and the left one he didn't even bother to fasten the strap. It only takes him half as long between pitches as it does other guys, because he only has to adjust one strap.
Isn't it maybe trying to emphasize his bottom hand with his swing, or a loose top hand or something?
Could be.
Reaches out and lifts that into deep right center field. A long run for AJ. He won't get there, and it one hops the wall. Brian Pena, his second double tonight. Whatever he's doing with his batting gloves, it's working.
It's working for him. No question about it. Sneaking up on that 300 mark as a left-handed hitter.
Reds have only 3 hits, all of them doubles.
That one down and out over the plate. You may remember in his first at bat, Ruby threw him a fastball up and away, and he shot it down into the left field corner. That one down and away, and he hooked it back to the gap in right center.
He's at second with 1 out for Brennan Bosch, who flied out his first at bat tonight. Diamondbacks do not put the shift on here for Bosch. Carves this out to left center. Ender's there. 2 down. Oh, he dropped it. And they rule it an out. That's the transfer rule right there. He caught it, and then it hit the ground. And the third base umpire rotating over, Marty Foster, immediately signaled out. This is the transfer rule.
He clearly caught that ball, just lost the handle as he tried to make the exchange from glove into bare hand and make that toss back into the infield.
And they changed the wording on this last year, and it created mass chaos, so they clarified their instructions to the umpires this year. And we'll get a pinch hitter now. Skip Schumacher will hit for Holmberg. There is no requirement, according to the Rules Committee, that the fielder successfully remove the ball from his glove for the play to be ruled a catch. So if you drop it while transferring the ball to your throwing hand, it is still an out. And that's what happened right there. And here is their pinch hitter extraordinaire, Skip Schumacher, at the start in left field last night. You can see he's got it and then loses it on the transfer. Right there. And there was no hesitation whatsoever by Marty Foster to rule that the second out.
You know, and you may ask yourself, how in the world can a guy not get the ball out of his glove cleanly? But if you think about those outfielders' glove, 12 inches long, the pocket runs lengthwise in an outfielder's glove as opposed to an infielder, a first baseman, or a catcher. And occasionally, if you don't catch it in the sweet spot, you don't find it.
Base hit for Schumacher. They'll stop Pena at third. Skip Schumacher already hitting .254 as a pinch hitter this year with 5 RBIs. He's very good in this role. And he's got a 2-out single. So 2 hits in the inning against Ruby. Looks like Sam LeCure is going to get the 6th for Cincinnati. And here's the leadoff man, Jason Bourgeois, who's 0 for 2. Pena, the catcher, is at third. Schumacher at first. .60 pitches for Ruby, 41 strikes. Ball 1.
Change up at 89.
Holmberg's fastball doesn't hit 89. One and two. Bourgeois only 29 games all year in the big leagues. Had a good night last night, couple of hits, including a triple. Bounce to third. That's a fair ball for Aaron Hill. And Ruby De La Rosa leaves runners at the corners through 5. He's got a 5-0 lead in Cincinnati.
some of his pitch selection. Lately his pitch selection has not been where it was, and when he does get that one pitch per at bat that he could probably do some damage, he's fouling it back.
Chip Hale, manager of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Stephen Bob, I thought a rather candid assessment of Wellington Castillo of late. We were all sort of mesmerized by the power display not too very long ago, but clearly things have evened off for Wellington. But I thought Chip had an interesting take, Bob.
Yeah, and I think also we've seen an adjustment from the league against Wellington. He had that incredible run on that last 10-game road trip. He was just crushing everything out of the ballpark. Pitches up and out over the plate, and teams now have started to pound him inside on the hands and throw off-speed stuff low and away.
Yeah, Welly just 2 for his last 26 up there. Did have a 2-run single his last time up. He's also got a walk tonight. And speaking of which, the red-hot A.J. Pollock will lead off the 6th against the new pitcher for the Reds, the right-hander Sam LeCure. A.J. 4 for 5 last night, 3 for 3 tonight. He's a triple shy of the cycle. Lines it right to Frazier, who takes a base hit away, reaches up and pulls it down. And that's just about the only way you can get A.J. Pollock out these days.
And that might have been the triple if Todd Frazier doesn't make the play. That ball was ripped toward that left field corner. If Bosch has any trouble playing it out there in the corner, A.J. could have possibly ended up at third base, but Todd Frazier made sure that didn't happen. A step and a jump to take extra bases away from A.J.
Oh. 1 out for Goldie. Hit by a pitch his last time up. He's 0 for 2. We have a guest in the booth. Where's your friends? Uh-oh, he looks upset. Don't get a big head. I wondered, well, now you can't speak for yourself. I wondered why 4? Why 4 of you? There's you, there's old red leg guy, there's Rosie, right? And then what's Gapper? What is that about? He makes an interesting point.
Yes, he does.
1-1 to Goldie. Good to see you. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah. Nice to have celebrities in the booth.
Good to see you. Don't get a big head.
Mr. Red in the house and in the booth.
It's funny, we're told that, well, obviously Tony Perez in the house tonight, Dave Concepcion, Cesar Geronimo, Johnny Bench, Pete Rose. But this guy calls himself Mr. Red.
Something's wrong with that.
Something's wrong, yeah.
I wish he could have answered my questions, but he's got a code. You know, the mascots can't ever talk. 3-2 to Goldie. Sam LeCure, he was on the team's final spring training day roster, and then just before opening day was sent to the minor leagues, and he just got called up Wednesday from AAA Louisville. 6 big league seasons.
Yeah, he's a big fan favorite here in Cincinnati. Of course, I guess with the youngsters that they have on their pitching staff right now, the fans are glad to see anybody they recognize.
He strikes out Goldie. Second time tonight that Goldie is punched out. He's 0 for 3. It was 0 for 5 last night, 0 for 3, couple of punch outs tonight. It's just
it's the cycles of baseball, but we're just not used to seeing it from Goldie.
It just underscores how good he is and how spoiled we are.
Absolutely.
Watching him every day. And there's no logical explanation for it. It's not like, you know, before when he had these struggles when he was a younger player, he would reach down and away and kind of chase a slider or something out of the zone. And, you know, and that would last maybe a week and then he'd be done with it. But now he's missing pitches in the zone, and we just haven't seen that before. So here is Beef Wellington. 2-run single his last time up. He lined it just over the head of Suarez at short. It went off the tip of his glove and into left for 2 runs. D-backs have out hit the Reds 11-4. They lead at 5-0. You know, last time we were here, last year we had Johnny Bench and Joe Morgan in the booth.
Right.
Well, apparently we've been downgraded because those guys are here, and we get Mr. Red. The Big Red Machine, as they honor Tony Perez tomorrow with a statue outside the ballpark here. And Tony is here today. Cesar Geronimo, Davey Concepcion, Johnny Bench, all the great names. Pete Rose here as well. So pop up, first base side. Jesus has it, and Sam LeCure is the cure. He's got a 1-2-3-6. 5-0 Diamondbacks in Cincinnati.
SportsArizona.com post-game reaction from tonight's game inside the Diamondbacks clubhouse. Plus, as you can see, earlier today, prior to the Tony Perez dinner that they're holding here tonight with several members of the Big Red Machine, I had a chance to go one-on-one with an extended conversation with the one and only Johnny Bench. You guys had him up here last year.
Great? He's great.
He is. I didn't want it to end.
Yeah, he's a great talker. I think he still does some games on radio, but he did for a long time anyway.
Yeah.
And he's an absolute joy to talk to.
Yeah.
He's terrific.
I asked him about a moment. I'm sure you guys saw it, but when he was introduced here as part of the All-Star Game festivities with the living legends, the greatest living legends in Major League Baseball, Hank Aaron, Willie Mays, and Sandy Koufax, the look on his face as he walked out, you could just see he was looking around, and the humility of that moment, and that's where we started our little journey. So that interview will be up on the website, plus I'm sure parts of our Diamondbacks Live pregame shows over the weekend. What a thrill.
Bench statue outside the ballpark here. There's his number 5 retired. Does he still have the Krylon deal? Remember that? Johnny Bench's bench.
Absolutely.
People would sit on the bench and it'd have wet paint. Well, you should have sat on this bench because I use Krylon.
Yeah, I do remember that.
So next time, sit on Johnny Bench's bench.
Yep.
Yeah, and I know you talked to him for a long time, Todd. I'm sure he gave you some stuff we can use on our catcher show next week.
It's funny you should say that, Bob, because with my lightning quick mind, I actually stopped down the interview and said, hey, we're doing a catcher show next week. And you know what? I asked him, first of all, I wanted to see where he'd go with the best catchers of the game today. But I asked him the one thing that he looks for, even in 2015, for a catcher. What's the one thing? And he went right to, I know you're going to understand this, just calling the game.
That's your number one job. Of course, Johnny Bench had a number of jobs for the Big Red Machines, throwing out runners, hitting home runs, driving in runs, leading that pitching staff. But, yeah, it all starts with those fingers. You can get your pitcher deep into the ball game like Wellington Castillo is doing for Ruby De La Rosa tonight. That's invaluable to a ball club.
And you get that kind of a mind and that kind of a competitive attitude with those physical skills, and you realize why he's a once-in-a-generation player.
Yeah, he really was. Once in a generation. We talked about how big his hands are. He could hold 7 baseballs palm down.
That's nuts.
That's crazy.
But there were great catchers of that year. They were a little more, I don't know, numerous then. I mean, you look at Bench and Munson and Fisk and some guys like that. Not that there are a dozen of them, but I asked you this the other day. I don't know if there's an equivalent to that. Buster Posey right now, maybe. That's
Posey jumps out. Yadier Molina, you know, with his defense included, is a guy that you'd have to consider one of the best in the game right now. I know Johnny mentioned Salvador Perez in Kansas City.
It is good. 3-0 Votto. Ball 4. Votto takes his walk.
He also mentioned the number of catchers that are in the Hall of Fame, and there aren't many, which was an interesting point that he brought up, especially having just been to Cooperstown. You don't think about that, but there aren't. I mean, the numbers are.
Yogi Berra, Roy Campanella. Is Gabby Hartnett a Hall of Famer? I don't know.
I think he said there
Bench,
were 13.
Fisk. Yeah.
Somewhere
Gary Carter. Yeah, there's not. They don't roll off the tongue. After 5 or 6, you're kind of, well, I don't know who else.
And they were all catchers who were big-time offensive players.
Yep.
They hit home runs. They drove in runs. They hit for high averages.
We also did talk about the baseball bunch because that show was shot in Tucson, Arizona. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Was it?
It was shot in Tucson.
Oh, they did it during spring training, right?
In February. Yep.
It's Todd Frazier. All right, Johnny Bench of the baseball bunch.
There you go.
Baseball needs, I mean, Rob Manfred is so concerned with reaching the kids, the youngsters, and get them playing baseball and watching baseball. There should be a baseball bunch show right now. Somebody should host that.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
You know, I know. I used to watch it. I wasn't a kid at the time, but I used to learn something every week.
It was like, you know, a baseball equivalent of a Pee Wee's Clubhouse. You know, the kids would run around with Johnny Bench and do drills and talk about baseball and stuff like that.
Well, you know, if you're trying to get kids involved and get more active and play the game, you know, show them the right way to go about it. Show them the little subtleties and nuances they need to know besides the basic fundamentals of the game. Maybe you get some more kids playing the game.
And Ruby, a 3-pitch strikeout of Suarez and a 4-pitch walk to Votto, the major league's walks leader, and now we deal with Frazier, who is 0 for 2. I don't know if he just lost the handle against Votto or pitched around him, but in any case, he's got a 1-out base runner, and he's behind on Frazier, 2 balls and a strike. That's well hit into left. Inciarte can't quite get there. It gets behind him. Votto had to hold up. He'll get third, and Frazier's in at second. Fortunately for the Diamondbacks, it didn't roll too far behind Ender that time. It barely really got to the warning track. He was able to recover and pick it up and keep Votto at third.
That's one of the dangers for a corner outfield. When you're moving toward the foul line, whether it be the right fielder in right or the left fielder in left, and you dive for the ball, there's nobody there to back you up. Obviously, a ball in the gap, A.J. Pollock will hustle over from center field and back the play up, but when it's down in that corner, you've got no help.
And Votto saw that Ender had a chance at it and just had to freeze almost before he got to second. And he scampers into third, so second and third, 1 out for Jay Bruce, who's 0 for 2. And a grounder to second. This will get a run home. Owings has it. Bruce the RBI. That's 5-1.
One walk in the game for Ruby De La Rosa, and it just came around to score.
Well, I guess with a 5-0 lead, you can afford to issue Votto a 4-pitch walk and not mess with him. Frazier at third, 2 down. Devon DeJesus Jr. 0 for 2. Three for his last 26 up there. There's There's a strike on one.
This inning is a perfect example of why Ruby De La Rosa can be a little maddening at times. A 3-pitch strikeout to begin the inning, followed by a 4-pitch walk. Granted, being careful with Joey Votto, but you just see it kind of come and go, like turning on and off a light switch sometimes.
He usually has one of these innings over the course of a ball game, and hopefully this is it. He's ahead of DeJesus 0-2. Still in good shape, 78 pitches. Frazier at third, 2 outs. Got him. Chased a high fastball at 95. 5 strikeouts for Ruby, but the Reds get 1. We are through 6 in Cincinnati. It's 5-1 Diamondbacks. Off as elite featherweight destroyer Max Holloway takes on dangerous double threat Charles Oliveira, plus a welterweight showdown between Neil Magny and Eric Silva. Catch UFC Fight Night Sunday, 3:30 only on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. We go to the 7th in Cincinnati. Ruby De La Rosa works himself out of trouble there, giving up just the 1 run, so it's 5-1 Diamondbacks as Aaron Hill leads off the 7th. By the way, I got a tip for you.
Okay.
On Sunday. We had I know you were here. We took a little photo. I'm going to send it out on the Twitter. But it was Mr. Red, our buddy Mr. Red. And they're not supposed to talk. That's part of the deal when you're a mascot. But we're in the commercial break, so Mr. Red comes in here. We take a nice picture with him.
Yeah.
And he starts talking. He goes, by the way, mascot race on Sunday, it's real, no script. So it's on.
It's on.
So if you want some action on the mascot Sunday, I'm just telling you, there's no script. Because this time it counts. It's like getting a tip. 2-1. I had no idea though that they would script the mascot race. I thought that was all legit, like wrestling is. Wait, what?
What?
There's a strike, 2-2.
The fact that Racing Gracie won 4 straight races, 5 straight.
I mean, that's just
that tells you right away it's scripted.
Wait a minute. I thought it was just athleticism. Dude, it's real, no script.
Mr. Red dropped the dude on you.
He did. He's my boy now. We're tight. He's off the 3-2. A leadoff walk for Aaron Hill. He's aboard for the second time tonight. Take a look at our State Farm report of the ball game. Brandon Drury yesterday for the AAA Reno Aces at Oklahoma City. 2 for 4. Now a 10-game hitting streak, during which, how about that? He's hit over 400 with 4 doubles, 6 RBIs, and he scored 10 times. He was their best hitter throughout spring training, the Diamondbacks this year.
Had a great spring.
It looked like he might make the team there for a while. And he is certainly going to factor into things next spring and on down the road.
Filling up that box score. That's what they call it when you get crooked numbers in that hits column, in the runs column, in the RBI column. Fill it up.
Yasmani Tomas, a homer to lead off the 4th, his 8th of the year. Sam LeCure on for his second inning of work, on in relief of David Holmberg. Holmberg went 5 innings, gave up 5 runs on 11 hits. Sam LeCure was not exactly killing it at AAA Louisville. 41 games, a 5.25 ERA. So that's why he was down there this whole time. Sent to the minors on the last day of spring training, and it's taken him this long to get back. Gave up 63 hits in 60 innings in AAA. 24 walks. Oh, Aaron Hill got one of those jumps where he talked himself out of it. And now he's frustrated with himself down there.
Yeah.
He had the greatest jump of all time.
Watch him over here. Whoa, wait a minute.
And then, boy, it's amazing how consistently they get those types of jumps with Dave McKay down there.
And we showed you earlier, Sam LeCure has pitched parts of 6 seasons here in Cincinnati. So Dave McKay has seen a lot of the Reds right-hander and apparently has found something in that delivery.
It was one of those jumps where they say to themselves, wait, this can't be right.
Something's wrong here.
Andy Green at third.
I'm running for second base and everybody else is standing still.
Yeah, this is baseball. I'm not supposed to be the only one running. 2-1. Take by Yasmani, but it's called a strike. 2-2. Chaz Roberts air conditioning. Cool play of the game. Yasmani Tomas to dead center in the 4th. Home run number 8.
You expect to see some long balls in this ballpark, especially against this undermanned Reds pitching staff. Good to see the Diamondbacks flexing their muscles a little bit here tonight.
Home runs by Pollock and Tomas. McCure misses, and he's worked at full 3-2 after walking Hill to lead off the inning. Three-two pitch. Aaron Hill takes off. Tomas swings through it. There's the strikeout, and there's the no. He's in there. Payne to get off a pretty good throw that time, but Aaron Hill is in there with his 7th stolen base.
Yeah, you're right. Better throw that time by Pena. The pitch was up in the zone, which brings you up out of your crouch immediately and helps you unload that ball a little quicker. But Aaron Hill with a great jump and the slide to the outfield side of the bag.
Let's go down to Todd.
guys are a good baseball man. I watch you guys all the time. You know, I'm in Las Vegas, and you don't get blacked out over there. And you're usually the 7 o'clock game that I watch on the West Coast. It's either you guys or Seattle, and I'm not a Seattle fan. And you know, I like to watch baseball, and Bob knows what he's talking about because you know, he managed good. He knows the game, and it's always refreshing to me to listen to someone who knows what the hell they're talking about when they're up in the. You understand what I'm saying?
I absolutely do.
Guys don't know what they're talking about, and they just didn't play the game. But Bob played the game. He played it good. He managed it good, and now he talks about it good.
I would agree with that. Bob, you owe me $20.
And for running out of players at that All-Star game, though. Inventory ran out of players. Put Bud Selig on the spot right there. Why did you use all those pitchers so fast?
Yeah.
I'll ask him. Pete, you just spent some time in the room. A wonderful dinner for Tony Perez, the statue tomorrow. As I love to say, I'll steal the line from Fred Shuro, you walk together forever. You were in a room signing autographs before you guys went in. I'm just guessing it was 1975, 76 all over again, and everybody was giving it to each other.
We were all together at the All-Star game, too. We had a card show across the street, and last year I think they brought us back to Big 8. They brought us back, no, years ago when Joe's statue was unveiled. So we see each other a lot. I see Johnny all the time, Tony all the time, Joe all the time. I don't get to see Caesar, who isn't in that much. I don't get to see Davey, who isn't Venezuela that much. George lives here, but Griffey lives, I think, in Orlando. So when you're as close to those guys, we're like brothers. You know, we played together so long, and we had so many wars together. It's always great to be around those guys because they bring back a lot of good, solid memories.
I have to ask the age-old question, but the Big 15, where does it rank? Are you guys the best ever?
I don't want to say that, but I'll tell you one thing we were, and I really believe this. We were the most entertaining team in the history of baseball. We're the only team to date, today's the 24th of August 2015, to have a Hall of Fame manager, a black Hall of Famer, a white Hall of Famer, and a Latino Hall of Famer. No other team has had that ingredient. And we had speed, we had Golden Glovers, we had power hitters, we had batting title type hitters, we had guys that could steal bases. I mean, we just entertain the fans the way you need to be entertained if you come to the ballpark.
You were in the golden age, or the beginning, I think, of televised baseball. Can I get to present day? We got a guy here that Goldschmidt. What do you think of this guy?
The guy can hit. I mean, I'm kind of rooting for him to win the batting title. Yeah. He needs just get in a hot streak. He hasn't been getting a lot of hits the last week or so, but the guy's solid. You know, it's hard to win a batting title if you're a right-hand hitter, unless you're Cabrera, because most batting champions, I think, are left-hand hitters. Don't ask me why. But there again, Goldschmidt can hit. Yeah. I was glad he made the All-Star team, and I know he's down to 328 or 327. I don't know what he's got tonight. They got 11 hits, but he's a comer. He's going to be a solid 300 hitter for you guys.
You like this?
Get him signed up for a long period of time.
Yeah, they need to redo that. Do you like the gig? Do you like this Fox gig? Where we're on the same, you're on the same company line here.
Yeah. How lucky am I? I get to sit in the green room when I'm on the air, and I get to watch every game that's being played. Then I get to go up. And talk about it on the air. I mean, how much fun is that for me? You know, because if I was going home, I'd do the same thing. I just wouldn't talk to anybody. I wouldn't have Big Frank up there to make fun of. I'd just be up there and watch the game myself. But the Fox gig is a great gig. I'm surprised. We got the World Series this year, by the way.
I read that. I heard about that. I saw the memo in turn. Are now going to do something with me that I've only seen done once before in my broadcast history in Phoenix, Pete. It happened back in 1993. We were interviewing Charles Barkley, and they said, go through the commercial break. You're in uncharted waters right now. We're just going to run through a commercial break. Oh, well, they do take me out to the ballgame. Can I just ask you, if you were going to sit down with a young guy that was just about to step foot on a Major League Baseball stadium and put that jersey on and those cleats and the national anthem and play this game, what would you tell them about what's about to unfold and how they should handle it, P. Rose?
Well, I would tell them the same thing I tell young kids. The first thing I tell them is to be aggressive. The next thing I tell them is be more aggressive. And the third thing I tell them, never be satisfied. If you get 2 hits, you want 3. You get 2 hits, you want 4. 4, you want 5. You win 2 games, you want to win 3. It's all about winning. It's all about a team effort trying to win the game. That's why they got these $1 million scoreboards, because they keep score. If they didn't care if you won or lost, they wouldn't have the scoreboards. Winning is important.
What about one final thing here, Pete? And I know this pitching, to me it's more. We talk about just the epidemic Tommy John surgeries, and I thought John Smoltz did an unbelievable thing in Cooperstown and taking that moment to try and say to parents, look, you got to have more well-rounded and play more sports. You agree with that?
Well, I don't like travel baseball at all. Play baseball during the baseball season, play basketball during the basketball season, play soccer, play football. You know, I played 24 years. I played 3,500 games, and I saw one guy in my career get Tommy John surgery. You know who it was? Tommy John.
Tommy John. That's about it, yeah. And they didn't call it that.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
You know, I know if it was the day would have had Tommy John surgery. Other guys, Tommy John was very successful after he had the surgery. So it's like guys now, just it's routine to have Tommy John surgery. The only thing not routine about it is you're going to miss a year. But then you're going to come back and you throw harder than you did before.
This is mind-boggling, the people that are walking by me from the Big Red Machine. You're all over the place.
They're all here tonight. There's about 15 or 20 Big Red Machine guys here tonight. And the good thing about that is a lot of us are still around. The only guys we've lost is Clay Kirby and Pete Borbone. The only two guys in the Big Red Machine that have deceased.
Well, Pete, it's been a pleasure. I got to get back to the booth. Thanks for coming. It's great to have you be a part of the Sports family. This is an honor to talk, especially here tonight in this park when you're going to honor Tony tomorrow. Everybody that you were here. Thank you, Pete Rose.
Thank you very much for coming down here out of the booth. That's very nice of you. Thank you.
That's because Bremley didn't want to come down here. You know what I mean? Thanks, Pete.
Sign autographs.
Pete, thank you. Thanks. Okay, Bob, let's see. So you had me on the meter there for your All-Star. Oh, we'll talk later.
And the hit king, Pete Rose, with Todd Walsh here in Cincinnati. A big weekend for the Big Red Machine as they are set to honor Tony Perez here tomorrow. And Brian Pena leads off the Cincinnati 7th with his 3rd hit tonight. He's 3 for 3.
That man never gave away an at-bat in his career. If it was a 12-0 game in the 9th inning with 2 outs and he was the scheduled hitter, you were going to have to battle to get him out.
It's good to know that Pete's watching Diamondbacks.
Yeah, that's great news. Great news.
Brennan Bosch. Well, we saw that last half inning. Aaron Hill at second base this time got another one of those leads, and this time they were on to him and was picked off to win the top of the 7th. And Pena, the single to lead off the home half. 5-1 Diamondbacks. They about hit the Reds 11-6. A fly ball to center. The ball's carrying out there tonight. A.J. Pollock has room, though, on the track for the first out.
Well, you think about the Big Red Machine teams in the mid-'70s, and every team talks about who's the leader? Who's the leader of this ball club? Who's the leader in the clubhouse? Jeez, they had about 20 of them on that team.
And then some of them went to the Expos. Pete went to the Expos. Tony Perez went to the Expos. And they all of them ended up on the Phillies.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, they kind of followed the same career arc.
That 83 Phillies team was Rose and Morgan and Perez. They're all here this weekend to honor Tony Perez.
Well, if you can't beat them, sign them.
That's what they did. And Paul Owens was the manager. Got them to the World Series that year. They lost to the Orioles. Well, here is Brandon Phillips. He had to leave their loss to Kansas City here Wednesday with inflammation in his right biceps tendon. He is day-to-day. Has not started either of the first 2 games of this series, but he will hit for the pitcher LeCure with 1 on and 1 out in the 7th. Phillips having a good second half to the year. 313 since the All-Star break with 4 home runs, including his homer here Wednesday night. That is a fair ball. Aaron Hill has to charge, makes a nice throw across his body to get Phillips for the second out as Pena moves into second. Brings up Jason Bourgeois, who's 0 for 3. Ruby at 86 pitches here. If he can get Bourgeois, get through 7, might be able to extend him another inning or 2. And with the way this bullpen has worked lately, that would be welcome news, certainly. Addison Reed about to get ready in the bullpen.
Every time I see those pitchers in the bullpen peeking through those little squares in the backdrop there, it reminds me of a construction zone downtown, you know, when you can watch the cranes and the bulldozers and stuff. People walking down the street just stop and peek through those little holes for a while and watch a building go up.
Putting up some new condos in that bullpen. 1-1 on Bourgeois. Knocks it into right, a base hit. They will wave Pena. Here's the throw from Tomas. It is in time, and they didn't get him. Somehow he avoided the tag of Wellington Castillo. Goldie chose not to cut it off. The throw was right there. But Mike Winters, the crew chief and the plate umpire, says that Castillo did not apply the tag. So hold the phone while they look at this in the Diamondback clubhouse. Pretty good footwork there for a big 245-pound catcher. He's got the plate blocked and everything.
Yeah, Wellington was kind of leaning back, anticipating that contact, and Pena came up short of the plate. Stops right there. Wellington loses his balance and falls over backwards, and Pena gets his foot on the bag before the tag's applied.
That is a tremendous slide. And Mike Winters was absolutely correct. He did not tag him. And there will be apparently no challenge. Mike Harkey makes a mound visit. It's a 5-2 ball game now. A single and the RBI for Jason Bourgeois. It was a really good throw from Yasmani Tomas, too.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, Pena was a couple steps around the bag at third by the time Tomas got to that ball. Still unleashed a wicked throw to home plate. Well, they should have had him at the dish.
Hey, Eugenio Suarez, 0 for 3. He has struck out twice. Up and in, it gets through Castillo, and Bourgeois is in scoring position. It's hard to fault Wellington too much on that play, because once his momentum trying to get that tag carries him over, he just kind of turtles on home plate.
Just a crafty slide by a guy you would not expect it from. You see, planted that left foot. Wellington had nothing to tag.
Do the hokey pokey.
Tiptoes on across the plate.
1-0 on Suarez. Ruby still throwing hard at 96. He's been at 96 throughout the ball game. Addison Reed has stopped throwing now. The lefty Keith Hessler may be getting ready for Votto here. He had the mound visit. Mike Harkey may have told Ruby, this is your last guy. If you get him, the inning's over. If not, they will go to Hessler to face the lefty Votto. 1-2 on Suarez. Got him. He strikes out Suarez for the third time tonight and strands Bourgeois, but the Reds add one more. It's 5-2.
Arizona is brought to you in part by Card Power from Arizona Federal Credit Union. Now that's the power of us. And by Phoenix International Raceway. Join PIR on November 15th for NASCAR. Visit us at phoenixraceway.com and get your tickets now.
Cincinnati, Ohio, our Gila River game summary. Diamondbacks lead the Reds 5-2 as we are set for the 8th inning. A.J. Pollock, who had 4 hits last night, 3 for 4 tonight, including a homer. Yasmani Tomas is homered as well. They've out-hit the Reds 11-7. And on to start the 8th inning for Cincinnati, it's the big reliever, Jumbo Diaz. Ruby De La Rosa has been terrific tonight. Really limited the damage in both the 6th and the 7th innings. And here's Jumbo to open up the 8th.
Jared Saltalamacchi in the on-deck circle will take the at-bat for Ruby De La Rosa. Outstanding effort tonight by Ruby. When his team needed him to get deep into the ball game, he was able to go 7 strong. Probably wondering why they're taking him out now. He's got 2 base hits and scored a run in the game. He wants to swing the bat one more time.
And Ruby, when he goes at least 7 innings, has been outstanding. 6-0, a 1.34. He is just rolling right now. Ruby De La Rosa unbeaten since the All-Star break, and if this final score holds, Ruby in 7 starts in the second half of the year will be 5-0. Nick Ahmed, who was up when Aaron Hill was picked off second to end the 7th, will lead off the 8th. Nick singled in his last at bat. He's 1 for 3 tonight. We saw Jumbo Diaz at Chase Field earlier this month. He does that thing where he kind of hides the ball behind his hip as he gets his grip.
If he holds that ball anywhere behind his body, it's hidden. I guarantee you.
There might be an encyclopedia set back there. You never know. It kicks off the glove of De Jesus. He recovers and throws him out. As promised earlier in the ball game, we have selected the Dana Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to AZ Dana Strong for a chance to be featured in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Pitcher spot is up, and that's it for Ruby as Jared Saltalamacchi will take the at-bat. And Salty in this role has really been something else lately. He's now got 4 hits in his last 4 at-bats as a pinch hitter, and is 6 for 12 as a pinch hitter this year. That's in the seats and out of play. He's really showing a knack for this as of late.
And it's one of the toughest jobs in baseball, coming off that bench cold, not getting regular playing time, not seeing regular pitching. And still able to put together a good at bat.
Reds have the shift on for Salt. He gets this up in the air to deep right field. Jay Bruce looks like he has room. Bourgeois is there, and he takes it right in the right center gap. Bruce gave up on it at the last minute, called off by the center fielder. And that's the second out. Almost a miscommunication right there. Bourgeois has not played a lot out there this year. He's in place of the injured Billy Hamilton. So 2 down for Inciarte. Ender a sac fly RBI in the 4th inning. He's 0 for 3. Diamondbacks, if they can hang on, will get back within 1 of 500, 60-61 on the year. And have clinched at least a tie in this 4-game series. That will not drop as Frazier runs it down. The over-the-shoulder grab in foul territory. And that ends the inning for Jumbo Diaz. Todd Frazier, souvenir for that young lady. A nice running catch by the Reds' third baseman. We'll go bottom 8 in Cincinnati. Diamondbacks have a 5-2 lead. Arizona Federal Credit Union Power Player of the Game, Ruby De La Rosa. 2 earned in 7 innings, only 1 walk. He struck out 6. And if he gets the win here tonight, Bob, he will be 5-0 in 7 starts since the All-Star break.
Boy, really had it all going tonight. Fastball command and velocity was tremendous. His slider was sharp at times. Didn't really need to throw a lot of off-speed pitches. He just overpowered this Reds lineup tonight.
Yeah, he was throwing that fastball right from the first batter. He struck out 2 in the first, including Suarez and Votto, and just rolled from there. 2 lefties due up for the Reds in the 8th inning, so here's Keith Hessler. And Votto leads it off. He has doubled and walked. And the shift is on. So Votto, Frazier, Bruce, 3, 4, and 5 in the Cincinnati 8th. And Joey can't believe that Mike Winters called that a strike. Wow.
I think they called it on the swing. Marty Foster. They appealed down to third base, and for the second time tonight, a hitter couldn't believe the call.
Well, for the second time, he might have been right. Take a look. Did he go here?
No.
Bad head got out there a bit, but that's a tough strike 1.
He must have had some bad chili last night.
Well, there's plenty of it around here. Speaking of that, how was the fishing today? You guys were crack of dawn out of the hotel.
Yep.
Sun wasn't even up.
5:30 wake up call. Sun didn't come up till nearly 7 o'clock local, and we had a lot of fog on the lake this morning, but they call it fishing. They don't call it catching.
You got, oh wow, that looks like a fighter though.
That is the only fish I touched all day, and it was floating on top of the water.
So you did not go fishing in Pittsburgh,
no.
Understandably.
Yeah.
Had a great day in Atlanta. In Cincinnati, not so much.
Not so much.
It's well, you got 2 days to make it up.
Well,
do you have to change from your lucky Portland Sea Dogs fishing hat?
I think I need to change lakes. I think it's that lake. I really don't think there are any fish in that lake.
Well, there's 1 fewer fish anyway. 3-2 on Votto. Blasts it the other way, deep to left, and Ender will watch it go. Joey Votto, that's 23, and it's a 5-3 ball game. And for Votto, 4 homers now in his last 9 games.
Talked a lot recently about David Peralta hitting left-handed pitchers and keeping that front shoulder closed, staying in there, being willing to hit the ball the opposite field if that's what it takes. And Joey Votto does all those things right here.
Well, that pitch was down, and he lifted it up and out the other way. And that's going to do it for Keith Hessler. Addison Reed on the way in. We take a break. A 2-run game here in Cincinnati. That was the Cox Gigalife high-speed highlights. Addison Reed on now to face Todd Frazier, who's trying to bunt for a base hit. Here comes Aaron Hill, and Frazier beats it out. Perfectly placed by the home run derby champ, a bunt single, and the Reds will get the tying run to the plate here with no outs.
Smart play by Todd Frazier. Take advantage of the situation. Down by 2 runs. The Reds need another base runner in order to bring that tying run to the plate. Aaron Hill was playing back, respecting the power of Todd Frazier, and he just dumped it down there on that left side of the infield for a base hit.
Diamondbacks had a 5-0 lead. Reds chipping away. 1 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th, now 1 in the 8th. Still nobody out. And Jay Bruce, the tying run at the plate. He is 0 for 2 an RBI ground out his last time up. Make that 0 for 3. Shift is on. The numbers on Addison Reed this year.
For Todd Frazier, that was only the 2nd bunt base hit of his career. I think it's a smart play. I really do, under the circumstances.
He's been in a horrible slump, and he executed it perfectly. And speaking of which, here's Bruce. He's really had a tough month. 6 for his last 61 at the plate right now. Ahmed all by himself on the left-hand side. You could do it again here if you wanted to. Bruce lifts it in the air the other way. Ender has room. That's the first out of the 8th. Move on to Jesus Jr. now.
Fans got a little excited there. It looked a lot like the Joey Votto home run to the opposite field to start this inning, but Bruce didn't get all that one. Just died out there short of the warning track.
Jesus 0 for 3, struck out his last time up against Ruby. 3 for his last 27. There's a strike, 0-1. Back with you tomorrow, game 3 of the 4-game set. Diamondback Live pregame show at 3:30 back home, the great state of Arizona. Randall Delgado comes out of the bullpen to make a spot start. Anthony DeSclafani will pitch for the Reds, the right-hander.
A right-hander?
Who knew? 4 straight lefties. 2 in Pittsburgh to win that series. 2 here in Cincinnati to open up this one. First time the Diamondbacks have faced 4 straight left-hand starting pitchers since August of 2007. But it's a bullpen game now. That one misses away, and it's 1-1. Two balls and a strike. Hoover and Matthews, a pair of right-handers, warming up for Cincinnati. They both pitched last night. Frazier at first, 1 out. Fly ball, left center. Ender, long way to go at the track, and he's got it. 2 down.
deep drive, but run down once again by Ender Inciarte. You know, we gave you this graphic last night, and this has been updated now. The series history right here in this ballpark in Cincinnati. Diamondbacks with one more victory. You can see how even these two teams have been playing at this ballpark. And this is another ball game that looks like it's going to be right down to the wire.
And they have had no answers so far tonight for Brian Pena, who is 3 for 3 with 2 doubles. Frazier at first, 2 outs. Pena, for the most part, has been content tonight to try and slap the ball the other way down the left field line. Two 2-0. Three-hit night for Pena. Twice this year he's had 4 hits. Last time June 17th against Detroit.
Frazier not exactly working for a maximum lead down there at first base. He takes a couple steps off the bag and is almost turned and facing second base. He's so close to the bag, you're not going to pick him off.
He's got 11 stolen bases this year, 11 for 15, but it's not like he can't run. But taking no chances, that one's fouled off. 2-1. Diamondbacks, if they can limit the damage here and get to the 9th, we'll have Pollock, Goldie, Castillo, 2, 3, and 4. Popped him up near the second base bag. Nick Ahmed has it, and Addison Reed strands Frazier at first. Reds add one more, 5-3 as we go to the 9th.
History, August 21st, 1975. The Russell brothers, Rick and Paul, become the first siblings to combine for a shutout. Rick started the game, went 6 1/3. Paul finished for the first shutout ever thrown by siblings. And Mom and Paul Russell must have been very proud that day.
You caught Rick a lot, right?
Yeah. Rick Russell, just a dead sinker ball pitcher. He'd throw 100 pitches in a game, 95 of them were sinkers.
9th inning here at Great American Ballpark. Diamondbacks trying to hang on to what was a 5-0 lead. It's now 5-3. Jumbo Diaz back out there for his 2nd inning of work. He'll work to A.J. Pollock, Paul Goldschmidt, and Wellington Castillo, 2, 3, and 4 in the Diamondback 9th. Take a look look at our Chevron upcoming pitching matchup. Game 3 of the 4-game set tomorrow night. Afternoon back home. The 4:10 first pitch. Diamondback Live pregame show at 3:30. Randall Delgado makes a spot start against Anthony DeSclafani. Diamondback Live pregame show at 3:30. And then Chase Anderson and Raisel Iglesias scheduled for the series finale here Sunday. A.J. Pollock is one great Todd Frazier diving play away from 4 for 4. He homered to lead off the ball game in his first at bat, singled in the third, doubled and scored in the fourth, and lined one that was headed for the left field corner his last time up to lead off the sixth, but Frazier made a great leaping grab to take extra bases away. So after his 4 for 5 last night, he should by all rights have another 4-hit night tonight.
You just love to watch a big league hitter when they're locked in the way A.J. Pollock is. It makes no difference whether it's a righty or lefty on the mound, whether he's a hard thrower or a soft thrower, breaking ball pitcher or a fastball specialist. He is on everything.
Well, this is trying to get to the seats, and it does. A.J. last night got stolen base number 30. His double in the fourth tonight was his 30th double. So he is the first player in the major leagues this year to have 30 doubles and 30 stolen bases. And only Eric Burns in 2007 is the other Diamondback to have accomplished that in team history. One and two. Ooh, there's another 4-hit night for A.J. Back-to-back 4 for 5s for A.J. Pollock.
You're just seeing that baseball as big as a beach ball right now. There's Jumbo Diaz out there throwing close to 100 up around the letters, and A.J. rips it into center field like he knew it was coming.
Well, his batting average since July the 1st, coming into the game tonight, .356. And he's 4 for 5. Here's Goldie, who's 0 for 3. Pitch out, nothing doing. Goldie has grounded out and struck out twice. He was hit by a pitch that bounced in the dirt and caught him on the knee. But hitless in the series so far, 0 for 8. Two and 0. There goes A.J. The throw from Pena is not in time, and he's done it again. A.J. Pollock, his second stolen base tonight, 32 on the year.
Yeah, Jumbo, as you might imagine, takes a little while to unload that baseball to home plate. No chance that time for Brian Pena. A.J.'s already popping up out of his slide by the time DeJesus catches the throw.
Boy, he used to be a little bit of a streaky player, A.J. Pollock. Those days are long gone. Ryota Goldie is in there for a strike at 97. Just fights it off. 3 and 2.
This is only the second game of the series. A.J. Pollock's already 8 for 10 with a homer, 2 doubles, 2 runs, 4 runs driven in, and 3 stolen bases.
Yeah, but what's he really done?
Yeah, what's he done? Well, he's got 2 more games to make it up.
Talk to me Sunday.
He has made 2 outs.
Been sensational. Goldie strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. was ahead 3-0 in the count.
Wicked pitch from Jumbo Diaz that time.
1 out for Beef Wellington. Castillo has walked and hit a 2-run single. He's 1 for 3. On 1. Reds in the bottom of the 9th will have Brennan Bosch, the 8th place hitter, the pitcher spot, and then the leadoff man Jason Bourgeois. 8, 9, and 1. One and 1. AJ broke for 3rd, but just bluffing now. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, 1 more run would not hurt a thing right here. This little itty bitty ballpark, anytime you got a runner on base, everybody's a home run hitter in this ballpark.
Reds have been chipping away. It was 5-0 Diamondbacks. Cincinnati won in the 6th, 7th, and 8th. Boy, Jumbo he's just a planet out there.
He has his own gravitational pull.
I mean, he is a big dude. Beef Wellington base hit into left. Andy Green will stop AJ at 3rd as Bosch gets it in quickly. Second hit tonight for Wellington Castillo. And they're on the corners with 1 out.
Boy, you could watch Andy Green coming down that 3rd baseline. He wanted to send A.J. Pollock on home, but that ball shot through the left side so quickly and got out to Bosch in left field. Andy Green had no choice but to throw up the stop sign with Aaron Hill due at the plate next.
And Aaron has singled and walked. 1 for 3 tonight. Chip Hill does have the left-hand option here. He could go with Lamb or Peralta. Ball 1. Aaron now at least 1 base hit in 7 of his last 8 starts. And he's hitting almost .290 since the All-Star break. Chance to pick up an RBI or 2 right here. Drives it to center. Bourgeois. AJ's at 3rd. Here he comes. There's your tack-on run. RBI for Aaron Hill, and it's a 6-3 ball game.
Nice job by Aaron Hill. Get a pitch you know you can lift in the air to the outfield, and with A.J. Pollock's speed at 3rd base, he'll tag and score easily on that fly ball to center. Keep it off the ground in that situation. That's the worst thing that can happen, is an inning-ending double play when you've got runners at 1st and 3rd. You got the Reds on the ropes a little bit. Make sure you get that ball in the air.
2 singles, a stolen base, and a sac fly make it 6-3. 2 down now for Tomas, who homered to lead off the 4th. His 8th of the year. He sits safely now in 6 of his last 7. .98 from Jumbo. 0-2.
If this score holds, I expect a call from Craig Counsell tomorrow.
You did your part.
Yeah, our key was to help Craig Counsell and the Brewers get out of last place in the Central, and they're leading big tonight over the Nationals, 10-3 in the top of the 8th inning. And if this score stands here in Cincinnati, the Brewers would sneak out of the cellar.
And the Reds would have lost their 7th straight. They would drop 18 under 500. And they began tonight 25.5 games behind St. Louis for the NL Central lead. Here it is. 1-2 on Tomas. And you got him. Another 98-mile-an-hour fastball from Jumbo Diaz, but the Diamondbacks tack on one more. Bottom 9 coming up. They lead it 6-3. Show as Mike and Molly bring you live reports from around the country for the latest from the NFL training camps. We'll get you ready for a full night of Major League Baseball action. Catch America's pregame every weekday at 3 on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Well, Brad Ziegler on to work the bottom of the 9th, and he has been automatic as of late. He has converted, including last night, 20 straight save opportunities, the 3rd longest streak ever by a Diamondback, and the 2nd longest active streak right now in the major leagues. So 1.55 ERA.
Boy, and it was vintage Brad Ziegler last night. 3 weak ground balls to third base to end the game.
Brennan Bosch, the left fielder, will lead off the 9th for the Reds. Pitcher spot is up after that. And Tucker Barnhart, the switch hitting catcher, will bat for Jumbo Diaz. So Bosch, Barnhart, Bourgeois, the killer bees here in the 9th. Brennan Bosch 0 for 3. Defensive change as well. Yasmani Tomas out of the ball game, and David Peralta takes over in right field. Here's a foul ball. Hey, D-backs fans, excited to introduce to you new Pepsi Limon. Pepsi Limon is made with just a hint of real lime juice, a little bit of lime, and a whole lot of flavor. Pick up yours today. Pepsi Limon, now available at your local retailer. 1-2 on Bosch.
I tell you, partner, I kind of like this uniform, this combination. That's normally the batting practice hat that the Diamondbacks wear with the red bill and the black top.
Yeah, that's a cool hat. There's no question. Chris Owings, another ground ball out from the Z-Man, one away. Yeah, that's a good look. I like that hat. I'm with you. here's Tucker Barnhart, the catcher, to hit for the pitcher. Tucker Barnhart, a single and an RBI. He was the starting catcher last night. .258 on the year with 3 home runs. Barnhart rarely hits right-handed. He's usually in there batting from the left-hand side. He's about .280 as a left-hand hitter this year. And it's as a lefty that he's hit all of his 3 homers. Waves at that one. Ziegler ahead 0-2.
Kind of unusual to have 2 catchers on the roster, both switch hitters.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe switch hits as well.
And neither one real strong from the right side of the plate, but both doing a pretty nice job from the left side.
Lines it right into the shift and right at Nick Ahmed for the second out. They had shaded rather than shifted, and Nick was in just the right spot.
Facing Brad Ziegler, that's an emotional victory. He didn't hit a ground ball.
By the way, there's a no-hitter going right now. Mike Fiers, the former Brewer who was acquired by the Astros in the Carlos Gomez deal. A no-hitter right now through 7 against the LA Dodgers. Chase Utley is playing his first game for the Dodgers there at Minute Maid Park in Houston. A no-hitter through 7. He's at 107 pitches right now. So as soon as our ball game is over and Diamondback Live post-game show ends, keep an eye out for that. The Astros made some good moves at the trade deadline.
Yeah, Fiers a solid pitcher.
Yeah. A strike away now. They got Scott Kazmir. They got Carlos Gomez. They got Fiers. Diamondback Live post-game show. It's starring Lightning Todd Walsh. Immediately follows our ball game. Oh, he wanted to, but he didn't. 2-2. Castillo hangs on, and the Diamondbacks win the ball game. Brad Ziegler shuts the door again. A 1-2-3 ninth. What else is new? And A.J. Pollock, a 4-for-5 night for the second night in a row. They out-hit the Reds 13-9. They win it 6-3. And the D-backs are now 4-4 on this 10-game road trip with 2 more still to go.
Boy, a real nice effort tonight all the way around. Got exactly what the Diamondbacks needed from Ruby De La Rosa. 7 strong innings in this game, allowing Chip to use that bullpen as he saw fit. And another big offensive night, especially for A.J. Pollock.
Brad Ziegler walks